Hi guys, Nassim here with Photography Life. Today I'd like to show you the proper way to clean your camera sensor using the sensor gel stick. Now before I do that, let me first show you what the product ships with and how it looks. Also, I'd like to address some of the concerns and questions from our readers regarding the use of the product. So, when you receive your sensor gel stick, it will come in this aluminum package that looks just like this. And when you open that up, you will find the sensor gel stick, and as you can see, the top portion where the gel is actually covered and protected by a piece of plastic. You will also find about 10 of these white sheets of paper that I typically refer to as just sticky paper. Now, the sticky paper is what's used to transfer all that dust, oil, whatever you had on the sensor that actually ended up on the sensor gel stick. It will transfer that to the paper so that you can reuse the sensor gel stick over and over again. Now that obviously raises a bunch of questions, and one of the most frequently asked questions from our readers has been, well, what is the typical lifespan of the product? How long does it last? And to answer that question, I guess it really depends on the frequency of the use of the product. So if you're a professional photographer and you have 3-4 different camera bodies and you clean your camera sensors before you go to each job, maybe that happens every week, then I wouldn't expect the sensor stick to last very long. I would say maybe 5-6 months or so. But if you use the camera occasionally, if you only have 1 or 2 camera bodies, which is the majority of users out there, then it will probably last a good year or two. Now, for me personally, I've used the product about 20 times so far, and the stickiness of the sensor gel stick is about the same as when I started. So I expect about maybe 5 or 6 months at least with very heavy use. So now if you think about it, that's still a really good deal. Even if you can get 1 month out of this gel stick, it's still a great deal. Simply because if you take your camera to a service center, which will cost you between $50 to $100 per trip per camera, the sensor gel stick will justify its cost on its first use. It costs $40. So from that standpoint, it's a no-brainer. I'm in love with this product. That's why when I saw it initially, I was like, we have to sell this product. We have to educate people about this product. So anyway, that's the first question. The other question that we've been getting quite a bit lately is, when are we actually going to start selling the sticky paper? Now, this probably comes from those that have already received the product, or perhaps those that realize that there is a limited number of sticky papers within each box. And to answer that question, if you've been using the product and if you've been wasting the paper a lot, you're probably doing something wrong. So far, from the 20 or so cleans that I've had, I probably have used 1, maybe 1.5 of those sticky papers. So if you do this right, you don't have to waste a lot of it. You don't have to think about purchasing more. But to answer that question, yes, we are planning to sell more of those sticky papers very soon. We're expecting stock within the next few weeks, so we'll let you know as soon as that becomes available. Now, regarding another question, and which is something that I honestly didn't expect, but we had a few people ask about it. And the question is, if we run out of the sticky paper, can we just use any other cleaning solution to clean the sensor gel stick? The answer is, please don't. Don't do that. And the reason why is because the sensor gel stick has a sticky surface. If that stickiness is gone, if you use any other chemical and it removes that stickiness, it's basically of no use. You can trash it. So I would recommend to just use the sticky paper and not use any kind of solution. Even if you drop it on the ground, try to use the sticky paper and remove all that dirt and dust from it, but don't try to use any chemicals, no water, nothing. So the next question is also from concerned photographers that ended up with some oil on their sensors. And I don't know how people actually distinguish between oil and dust. In many cases you can't even tell the difference, but I've actually seen cases where the sensor gel stick on my D600 actually, the D600, when I initially cleaned it, I think I've already told you about it, but it did a really nice job, and I know that I had some oil spots on there as well. So it did a really nice job. It actually cleaned up the whole sensor, no problem. So from cleaning oil, yes, it can do that. It can certainly remove oil from the sensor, but it depends on a couple of factors. If the oil spot is huge, if that's been there for a long time, then it might not. Now, if it doesn't, then the best way to deal with that is obviously through wet cleaning. And if you don't know how to do that, if you've never done it before, you either check out my video on how to wet clean sensor in less than 5 minutes. If you're not willing to risk and go to those lengths to get it cleaned up, then the best way is to send it to the service center, let them clean it for you, then you can use the sensor gel stick for all the other regular cleanings. So that basically answers most of those questions. If you have any other questions, please let me know under this video or in the article that I'm about to post, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Now let's go into the process of actual cleaning of the sensor using the sensor gel stick. Before you start, it's a good idea to move to a very clean, dust-free environment, because we will soon be detaching the lens and exposing the sensor. If the air is full of dust, some of it might end up on the sensor, creating more problems. So make sure that you start out in a very clean room. The next step is to make sure that your camera battery is fully charged. You can verify that by looking at the top of the LCD, or you can go to the camera menu, and if you scroll down under setup menu, this is for the Nikon D800E, but for all Nikons it should be under the setup menu, and you will find battery info. In this case, for the Nikon D800E, I've got a 91% charge, which should be plenty for me to be able to go into the mirror lockup mode. So in this case, if I go to lock mirror up for cleaning, as you can see, it's not grayed out, which means that I can use that mode. Now, if my battery was below, say, about 50 or 60%, then that option would be grayed out. On some cameras, it might not be grayed out, so always make sure that you start out with a full battery. So, the next step after this is to raise the camera mirror for cleaning. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the lock mirror up for cleaning here, and we're going to go and click OK for start. And now it says when the shutter release is pressed, the mirror lifts and the shutter opens. To lower mirror, turn camera off. So which means that if right now I'm going to press the shutter release, that basically raised the mirror. And once that happens, I can detach the camera lens. And as you can see, that exposes the camera sensor. At this point, I'm ready to start cleaning the sensor. Now, mind you, if you're going to turn off the camera, as you can see, that lowers the mirror. And that's exactly what we don't want to do. So make sure that you keep your fingers away from the on-off switch while you do this. Okay? So I'm going to go back into the camera menu, lock mirror up for cleaning, press OK, release the shutter, and now I'm ready to clean. Alright, at this point I have the camera sensor exposed and I'm ready to clean. But before I start doing that, let me just show you what I would recommend to do first. So first of all, remove the cap, then grab one of these, and while the sensor gel stick should ship pretty clean, just make sure that you clean it once before you start touching the sensor. You never know what might have happened during shipping. Maybe there's a particle there. So what you do is, when you separate the paper like this, there are two sides of it. One is the non-sticky side, and the other one is the sticky side. You can tell by just feeling it. The hard one is the non-sticky one. The soft one is the sticky one. So you can just separate it a little bit, just like this. And what you want to do is you want to take
the sensor gel stick and just touch the very corner like this and remove it. As you can see, it sticks pretty well, and that whatever it had now should be on the paper. Now the reason why this works is because this area is more sticky than the area of the sensor gel stick. That's why whatever is on the gel stick should basically end up on that paper. What we're going to do next now is we're going to put that paper back and we're going to start the cleaning process. So what we do is we grab the camera and we just need to decide which side we need to start with. So in this case, I'm going to go with the top left, go to the right, go down, go to the left. So, and whichever way you decide, it doesn't really matter as long as you cover the entire area. So the way that this works is it's best to put the camera on the floor or on the ground or on the table, any straight surface, and what you want to do is you want to press straight down, lift up, move, straight down, lift up, move, and repeat the same motion until you cover the entire sensor area. So watch me do this. Go like this. And you should feel it stick. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to press too hard and you don't want to press too soft. As long as it sticks when you lift it, you should be in good shape. Once you do that for the entire surface area, then if you have a sensor loop, that's when you use it. So let me put this back into its container, and I'm going to take a sensor loop. And again, you don't have to use this, but it's very useful, and you look in. And if you see any more dust, wherever you see it, you reapply the sensor gel stick. Once you do one pass, then you basically look and make sure if you don't have any dust, you put the lens back on, you should be done. But if you do have dust, then you clean it again. Now, the second time when you clean it, you want to make sure that this is clean. And again, you pick that same piece of paper, open it up, and now you use another area adjacent to it. Just like that. Now, here's another thing. If you've been just using the area and then skipping over the parts that you've already done, you can actually sometimes go back and reuse that same area. And again, the reason why this works is because this paper is much stickier than the sensor gel stick. So you should be able to reuse it if necessary. Now, some of you might not feel confident doing that. If you don't feel like you want to do it, then that's okay. You can just keep on using it. You're just going to end up using a lot more paper. So if you want to save that paper, just go back to that same area, and you can just do this several times, and you can just reuse that area. So the sensor gel stick will be clean. Once again, make sure that you're doing the sticky part, not the other one. And once you do it, you do another run, and you should be done. Now, how do we verify, let me put this back, how do we verify that what we've just done has worked? What you do, if you don't have a sensor loop, if you have no way of checking, first you want to turn the camera off, and that lowers the mirror. Now we're going to attach the lens back. Okay, so in this case I've got the 24-70, and once you attach the lens back, what you're going to do is go into camera menu, and we're going to go into, scroll down to ISO control. The first thing we want to make sure is that auto ISO is turned off. Okay, so as you can see, it's turned off, but my ISO is set to high too, which is way too high. Now, I was using that for testing, obviously. So what I need to do is I want to go to the lowest ISO value. In this case, 100 is fine. I can go to low 1, but 100 is okay. So by doing that, I basically use the base ISO of the camera. I use the lowest ISO available, and that basically slows down my shutter speed when I take a picture, because that's what I'm going to do next. The next thing you need to do is you need to set your aperture to the smallest aperture or the largest f number. So in this case, it's f22 for this lens. And I want to switch to aperture priority mode. Okay, so aperture priority mode, f22. I'm going to open up the lens cap, and I just need to take a picture of a white surface, and it could be anything. It could be a white wall, it could be just a piece of paper, your monitor, whatever it is that's bright and white. It doesn't actually have to be bright. So in this case, if I take a picture, it says that it's going to be 1/3 of a second. I don't even need to worry about vibration or anything like that. I just need to take a reference photo. So let me switch. There we go. So now that I've taken the picture, all I need to do is I need to zoom in, play back. I don't have a card there, but I can still do this. So I can play back and zoom in and look at the entire surface and make sure I don't see any dark spots. If I see dark spots, that means I did not fully clean the dust. If I don't, I'm done. So that's it. Thank you. Bye.